Hey guys, Tina here and welcome to Book Buying Habits tag. This tag was created by Dan Cross Blogspot and I was tagged by Lourdes from Chapters We Love. Now I will leave their information down below so you can go check them out. Now as you all know, I love buying books, so this should be an interesting tag and you will learn a bit more about me. So here we go. Question number one is, where do you buy your books? Now, the thing is, I live in Slovenia, and years ago I started reading most of my books in English, primarily because they're a lot cheaper than Slovene books, although not all of them, but you know, for the vast majority, and also because the genres that I was reading were not available to me in Slovene. So when I started doing this, I was reading a lot of romance, and that was like 15 or even more years ago. And back then, romance was, we had some authors that were, translated, like Victoria Holt, but she's like an older author, but not, the current ones that were popular in US and UK. And I started buying books in English. They were really cheap and I loved it. And that habit continued on from there. And as my taste changed, the trend in Slovenia, translations, that didn't change. I started reading young adult, and it was not really popular here back then, at least, not the books that I liked again. And now that I'm reading fantasy, there's not a lot of fantasy that's actually translated into Slovene. Yes, there's some Neil Gaiman, George R.R. Martin, Patrick Rothfuss, Robin Hobb's Farseer trilogy, and basically the Queen of the Tearling trilogy, and that's mostly it. So, I cannot buy fantasy books in Slovene. Obviously, again, I have to buy them in English, and I do that usually on Book Depository. I do sometimes get books in our bookstores because they're getting better at stocking the fantasy books and young adult books as well. But most of my shopping is done online. As I mentioned, Book Depository is the cheapest method usually for me to get books. I do use Amazon, usually the German site, but not, Amazon is Amazon, because the shipping is freaking expensive, so I don't use that. And even if I did, yes, the books are cheap, but with the shipping it would cost me more than, if I go to Book Depository. And I do use Amazon Marketplace. Sometimes, other sellers have books that are really cheap, and I do use that a lot. So yes, online shopping for me, more or less. Question number two is, do you ever pre-order books? And if so, do you do this in store or online? Again, online, and yes, I do pre-order books. Usually, they're cheaper that way, as opposed to after they're out. And I do take advantage of that. Question number three, on average, how many books do you buy a month? Too many is always the answer. I was supposed to buy like 3 books a month this year, and that worked out like for the first 2 months of the year, and then I just went crazy. And usually now I think it's about like 10. And luckily for me, I am also reading a lot. At least I did in the first half of the year. So, my TBR has not gone up, but it has not gone down either. So, where I was at the end of the beginning of the year, basically. So, yeah. I will have to curb that somehow. Not sure how, but then again, why? Okay, so question number 4 is, do you use your local library? Yes, you know what? When I was a kid, I used to go to the library a lot. They had a lot of books that I really liked. And then, sort of, when I started buying English books, again, libraries, it's the same problem as with bookstores. They didn't have what I wanted to read. And that sort of stopped. But now, I have figured out that, yes, they don't have as many fantasy books. They do have some. I'm not going to say that they don't. It's mostly older ones that I'm not reading right now. So, I will get to them eventually, I hope. But they have a lot of literary fiction, of course, because God forbid you would not have a Pulitzer Prize winner, naturally. And I do use my library now for that, and some graphic novels that you just saw me read, like Saga, and I have The Sandman right now checked out. So yes, I am starting to get better at that as well. Question number 5 is, what is your opinion on library books? They're fine. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to think of them. I think libraries are really useful, and if I lived in an English-speaking country, I would love them to bits. Sadly, yeah, it is what it is. I do have some issues with books sometimes because a few years back I borrowed Spiderwick Chronicles by Holly Black for Booktubeathon, and the books stank so much that I could hardly read them. You know, I was reading them like far away from me, so I could not, you know, I would not have to smell them. So yes, I'm slightly iffy sometimes about, you know, books like that, but in general I don't have a problem with them at all. Question number 6 is, how do you feel about secondhand books? Again, it's the same problem, you know, that I have with bookstores or libraries here. They don't have the books that I want to read, and that has not always been the case, because as a kid, or in even up to like high school when I started reading in English, I used to go to used bookstores all the time. You know, the vast majority of my classics that I have in Slovene are used books, and they're really great. And again, if I had the option to buy used books, I would. I do sometimes use Amazon Marketplace, but I have been burned a few times as well. You know, when you know, the label says it's like new, you know, you don't expect to get a book that has a cracked spine completely and it's all bendy and all that. So yeah, I actually just recently again bought one, and I'm waiting for it to come to me, and I will see, you know. Yeah, I mean, I would prefer to see the books before I buy them, so, you know, going to a secondhand store is better than buying secondhand books online for me. But yeah, I'll see, because I think it depends on, you know, whether or not I know that I want to keep the book and that I'm gonna like it, as opposed to maybe I'm just gonna read it and give it away. So yeah, those are my issues or not with secondhand books. Question number 7, do you keep your TBR pile on your main bookshelves or not? Yes, I do that. Books here are read and unread. I used to keep it separately, and then I just sort of gave up on that, and I actually think that I probably should do that again, because, you know, they sort of get lost between the read books, and then I just forget that I have them for a while. So maybe if I had them, you know, if they were like more prominent and in my face, I maybe would pick them up faster. So I might do that, because I love rearranging books. I could do it, you know, bookshelves, not books. I could rearrange my bookshelves each day, because I love doing it. So maybe that's a project, you know, maybe the next time you see these shelves, or, you know, in the near future, they might look different. Yeah, it's a good idea, really. Question number 8, do you plan to read all of the books you own? Yes, so that's the plan. I do not know when I'm going to get to them, because I'm not the fastest reader. I read a lot, but I'm not fast at it. So yeah, it might take me a while, but that's the plan. It does sometimes happen that I had a lot of young adult, and I sort of, my taste changed, and I did give away some books that were unread, but that's not my plan. I mean, I want to read all of them, that's why I buy them, but I'm not too worried about when I get to them, you know. I like having a big TBR pile, because that means that I have options. I think it would kill me if I had like only 10 books that were unread, and then, you know, I read as my mood strikes me, and I don't think sometimes, you know, those 10 books would be enough, actually. So yeah. Okay, so we are now at question number 9. What do you do with books you feel you will never read or did not enjoy? I sell my books. Sometimes, you know, even as I'm reading them, I already post an ad or something like that. So I even if I like a series, but I know that I will not reread them, I do that as well. So I usually try to get rid of them. Anyways, it doesn't usually happen really fast, or sometimes it does, it depends on the genre. But yeah, I am not a keeper. I have only so much space, and yeah, if I know that, you know, I'm not going to reread them, or if I didn't even like them, it would be silly for me to keep them, in my opinion. If I had unlimited amount of space, that would be a different issue, but since I don't, that is how it is. Question number 10, have you ever donated books? Yes, I did donate a lot of my romance books, and I had tons of them, to my local library. Actually, I have a few that I have to still get there. So yeah, I have to do that, because yeah, they're just taking space here. Question number 11. Have you ever been on a book buy and ban? Yes, I have tried that, and I have failed miserably, because as soon as, you know, you tell me not to do something, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. And it doesn't matter if, you know, I'm telling myself not to buy books, because they're just more tempting that way. So it doesn't work for me, sadly. I have no discipline, no self-control, so I'm a failure in that regard. Question number 12 is, do you feel that you buy too many books? Yes, clearly. Excuse me. Yes, I buy too many books. I'm always excited for the books that I buy, and I would like to get to them like instantly, but I do rationally know that that's not going to be the case. So, you know, sometimes I do question my buying habits, but sometimes I just cannot, you know, cannot really say no to them. Sometimes they're really cheap, sometimes they're really pretty or whatever, and I've heard good things about them and I just feel like I need them right now, and when they get here I'm reading something else, and once I'm done that, like, I need to sort of forget about them for a while, and then, you know, yes, but I still love buying them. So yeah, and question number 13 is, who do you tag? I clearly have done no research, so I have no clue who has done this tag. I will tag some people down below though, and in case you have done this tag, just disregard this anyway. But yes, so these are my book buying habits. Am I weird, or do you have some of the same problems as I do? Leave me down in the comments, and thank you for watching this video, and see you in my next one. Bye! Hey guys, Tina here, and welcome to Book Buying Habits tag, which was created by Dan Cross at Dan Cross Book Blog, and I was created by, I was not created. Oh, I was, but not. Oh, forget about it.